Good afternoon, this is Robin Bieber on the European Midday Roundup and Good Morning America Chart Talk on the 27th of April at midday London time. And the chart in front of us is May RBOB, and it's going to be a very important contract to watch today. The market is fragile, dangerous, it's poised on a knife edge to go either way. There are clues, but they're far from conclusive. If we just look at RBOB for a moment, the key here is what it does at the 13-day moving average, is green line resistance, untouched today but failed at on Friday. The 8-day moving average in the middle is pivot at 64.78, and the 5-day, which is last ditch support, around 61.96. Now the basic message here is over the 8-day, and we're pretty much at it at the moment, we're printing 64.47, the 8-day is at 64.78. It's a pivot above there, and there's a reasonable chance of testing the 13-day at 66.78 and then the 34-day at around 69.02. A failure at the 8-day suggests moving back down to test the 5-day at 61.96 area. If that fails, we're off to the races south. The only thing that is really between us going south heavily and being supported is the 5-day moving average. That must hold. If it can take out the pivot, the 8-day pivot, 8-day moving average pivot, which is now resistance, and take that out, we've got a very good chance of testing the 13-day. So it's going to be very much a question today of moving average management. Over the 13, and it probably will lead everything higher with it. Below the 5, and it joins the other products going south. And we can see this very clearly on WTI and Brent. Here's WTI, 5-day moving average 14.58, printing 14.13, ergo a struggle. It is failing at the 5-day. If it's below there as we go into the afternoon and later in the afternoon, this contract looks poor, and the Brent will look poor alongside it, and we're probably going back to the recent lows. Brent is no different. Here's the 5-day, it's struggling to hold it. The 5-day comes in at 20.62, it's printing 20.65. If WTI scythes below its 5-day, the Brent will struggle to hold. Nevertheless, it's holding at the moment, 20.63, critical support for it today. And if it decides to take it out, we're going back to the lows. Heating oil, it looks poor. It's below key support at 67.25. Once it stays below there, it's in trouble, and also below the 5-day at around 69.82. It's basically floundering and will go south at the slightest encouragement from RBOB, which it hasn't received yet. And gas oil, pretty much the same, below the 5-day at 212.75, and whilst it's below that, it's in trouble. The message is watch RBOB's 5, 8 and 13s and watch the crude's 5 days for the key. If those 5s can hold, those 5-day moving averages can hold, and RBOB, for example, get above the 8, it is going to halt any downwards momentum. We may find a wobble in heat and gas oil, but they will come into line, I would have thought, quite soon. However, they're still looking very ragged and acting as a weight on the rest of the market. Now, if we look at some of the structure looks to be somewhat under pressure. Look at the front two spreads of WTI. June, July, struggling to hold the 534 level, but still doing so. July, August, below the 5-day. This is not a good signal. And also at the back end, the red deck on TI, struggling but holding the minus 563, but still above the 5-day moving average, still below the 5-day moving average at minus 534. So all the structure is feeling the weight. And this is also true in Brent. Here you've got the front end at July, August, just holding. It's a question of the 5 and 8-day moving averages here. The 5-day is holding at minus 244. The 8-day is holding the market in check at 230. The same is true of AugSep. And if we look at some further out stuff on Brent, like the red deck, struggling but holding minus 589. The message is clear. There's pressure all round, but RBOB 5, 8 and 13s are the real key to watch them. And if we stay below the 8, we're going to put that 5 under pressure. But if we don't close below the 5, we could easily find ourselves getting wrong-footed. The weight of the product's weakness on heat and gas oil will make itself felt pretty soon unless RBOB can stage a recovery. And if we look at the 60-minute chart on Brent, a little bit of a struggle going on, but trying to bottom out. So watch that 5-day very, very closely today. And on the RBOB, not liquid enough to get too much of a clue, but it looks like it's going to try and edge a little bit higher into the New York Open. So the message is clear today. Watch RBOB very, very carefully around its short-term moving averages, and watch the crudes around their 5-day moving averages. Those fives on the crudes must hold, or we're probably going to head south, and RBOB will find itself struggling to maintain its position above the 5 and 8s. That's all for today. Good luck, good trading, and bon appetit.